Hey guys, couldn't help myself, had to add a little bit more to the details of this car. I took photographs of Greg's car and I found out that he does have a third brake light on this car. Now I thought the third brake lights were introduced in 1986, but I guess I was wrong and it was in 85. So we did add a third brake light to the rear window. You can see it right in there, and you can see the third brake light assembly right there. And then I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and add a few more things to this car. So I added the weather stripping to the doors. As you can see here, the black weather stripping right above the edge of the door there and there. Just to keep it as realistic as possible. So those were the further additions to the interior of the car. And now, after a quick cleanup of the inside of the windshield, I'm going to be installing the interior, as once I do that, I won't be able to get in there anymore, so I gotta clean the windshield now while I have the chance, and hopefully I don't break anything while I'm doing that. As you can see here, I've already marked the area where the interior, which has its leading tab here, will make contact with the inside of the body. So I'll know exactly where to apply my CA glue. And then the two rear engine cover tabs here are going to make contact with the body here and here. So those are going to be my three glue points to attach the interior to the body, which will happen right after I do quite a bit of cleanup to the windows. Now here we go. We'll give you a quick look at the inside of the body, which will never be seen again once it's all put together. And you can see there's all sorts of stuff going on in here, which no one will ever see again. So just imagine that, all those really pretty models that you see every time you go to a model show, what's going on underneath them. Alright, we're going to keep going with this and get this thing done. Alright, now we're ready to start putting some of our sub-assemblies together. Now what we're going to start is with installing the interior into the body. The interior has several points of attachment which you got to be aware of. And since I've already installed it into the fiero, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about using our other sample car here. That might be a little tough to see because of the fact that it's all red because nothing's painted, but we'll make do. Now, with the windshield installed in the car, you have 4 attachment points for this interior tub into the body. The first one being this large one here at the front, the 2 on each side of the engine covers, and the one here where the rear window sits into this notched area here. Now, when you're installing the rear window, you're going to find that it doesn't exactly sit straight. I don't know if you can see it here, but it kind of bows out this way. And where it has to sit is further in this way to make proper contact with the body. If not, you'll have a problem that I have had on a previous builds, where when you put the rear deck lid on, it's going to extend too far out. Now, there's several ways to deal with that, which we'll discuss later on down the line, which hopefully we won't have to do with this one. So what we're going to do is, what I like to do is, I take a marker, I mark the area where the interior tub is going to sit, so I'll know where I have to drop it when it goes in. Because once you start going in, you're not going to want to make a mistake here, because you're dealing with the glass of the car, and you really don't want to screw that up. So what I like to use is my Bob Smith Super Gold, because this stuff dries totally clear, even though it is CA glue. I've had really good luck with it, and I used it on over there on the fiero. So what I do is, after, actually, I can just show you the entire procedure here. Give me just a second while I set this up. Okay guys, I'm just gonna go over exactly how we attach this interior to the car. Now I've taken my Sharpie and I've marked off all the contact points. Now the first one that we have here is this large locating tab here. Now this is going to be contacting the body here, which is good because no matter what you do there, you're not going to get any glue on anything important that's going to show when you're putting the model together. Now that's contact point number 1 on this body. Now contact point number 2, and this is very important here, is for the rear window. As I described before, you can see how the rear window extends past the interior tub. So you have to make sure that you lay your glue right on this ledge of the interior tub. Right there. As that's where it's going to contact the glass. Now, as you may have noticed, the glass does not sit flat against the interior tub. So if you're building this model, you're gonna notice the... Oh, hold on guys, dinner. I'll be back. Okay guys, that was instant for you, but for me it was a little bit. Went to get something to eat, very hungry. So now we're back with this. Now, what I wanted to explain about the rear glass, like I think I touched on it earlier, is that because of the way it's made, the glass bows outward this way. Now, it should actually be like this, straight down, so that when it reaches the interior tub, this is what you get. Instead of it sitting flush against the interior tub, it actually extends out past it, which then gets in the way of the rear deck lid as you're starting to put it on. So that's why it's very important that you glue it flat and flush against the back of the tub here, so that it sits nice and even with the back of the tub, so it doesn't extend out past the edge of the interior tub, in which case then it's going to interfere with the rear deck lid, or at least we hope not. So instead of this, you want this. So that's something you have to be aware of. So this is contact point number 2 for the interior tub. So you're going to want to make sure that you have that covered, and then contact point number 3 and 4 are the engine covers where they meet the shock towers. You're going to want to have a secure bond here and here with the glass to hold the interior in place, and then what you want to do is just lay a bead of CA glue across the seam here where they meet. You won't see it up on top, but what that's going to do is it's going to really seal the engine covers up against the shock towers, so that you won't have any issues with the interior popping out of place. And that's how you install the interior into the fiero model. Now let me just put all of this back together, as I don't think we're going to need a demonstration body here anymore. And we're going to get rid of this. And now we'll bring the body back into view. Okay, now that we have the interior fully installed into the car, now we're going to go ahead about setting up our seat belts. Now, when I installed the seat belt into the passenger seat, I decided to insert it into the buckle. Insert it into the seat belt. Yeah, into the seat belt buckle, to give it a realistic appearance of the seat belt being latched into place. So now I just have to make sure that the belt itself drapes over the seat in a realistic fashion so that it does appear to have some semblance of gravity on it. So it's a little tough to do once the car is all together, but we're going to give it a try and see how good of an effect we get. Now what I'm going to do is, I already have the seat belt measured out to the B-pillar here. Kind of hard to show that to you. And I'm going to put a small drop of super glue right on the upper corner of the seat, and that's where I'm going to attach the seat belt. So it's going to be glued in there, and the shape of, and the fact that the seat belt is made out of Tamiya tape, as I showed earlier in the series, it's going to hold its shape going right to the B-pillar and look as though it's attached to the B-pillar, so that when you look in there, it'll look as if the seat belt is latched in just like the real thing. So let me go ahead and do that now. And there we go.
Ever since the late 1980s, when the waterbed hit its peak, it's been slowly disappearing from the American home.
You guys, let's see if we can put a little bit of light on this.
It was popular with bachelors. It was during the 1980s that it successfully
and there
made
you
the
can
leap
see
to the
the
suburban
seatbelt
bedroom. And by 1987,
fully installed.
1 out of 5 mattresses purchased in the U.S. were
Looking
waterbeds.
pretty good there.
The real problem
Very realistic.
with waterbeds was the installation and setup, and the difficulty in moving a waterbed was even more complicated.
Alright guys, and here we go with the finished product of the seatbelt latched into place in the buckle. And I don't know if you can see it, but there actually is a photo etched latch on there that I glued to the buckle to make it look like as if it's really in there. Now we're going to take the other one, and since the other one's going to be unbuckled, you can see the latch there, much like I showed in the previous video when I installed it. And we're going to take this one and install it to the B pillar, but in an unlatched position, so that you'll see the buckle just hanging there waiting for the driver to get in and take a ride. Alright guys, and here we go. We have both our seat belts, one attached to the B pillar on the driver's side unlatched, and the one on the passenger side latched. Yeah, with a little bit of a pain in the rear getting that driver's side one lined up, but we got it in there and they came out pretty good. Alright, we're gonna keep going. Alright guys, I was getting set to mate the body to the chassis when I just saw something that kind of bugged me. I was looking in here, and since I opened all of this up, you can see right into the car, which kind of throws you off a little bit when this is inserted and this is all you see. So in the real car, you can actually see the radiator and the AC condenser in there. You can see the mesh work from the radiator and the AC condenser. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and recreate that using this stainless steel mesh that I got from Model Car Garage. By inserting that, let me see if I can show you guys this. To the body. Hold on a second. Now let's see if I can mock this up. Okay. We're working on installing a radiator into the car. As I mentioned before, when you look inside the nose and seeing as how I cut open the air intake underneath the car, what you see is nothing but open space. Since that was never meant to be open, there's nothing back there but an empty hole. So what I did was I took some of this steel mesh screen, which you can order from model car garage. That's MCG 703 stainless steel wire mesh. Now I took some of that and I installed it in the nose, right in front of the air intake, so that we have a bit of a facsimile of a radiator in there. You can see the little bit of the mesh from the steel mesh. Looks sort of like the radiator fins. So what I'm gonna do is dress that up a little bit, see if we can't get it to look even more like there's something going on in there more than just a bit of steel mesh. Get it out. Now we have our mesh positioned in there with a piece of tape just to hold it in place. But I'm going to see if I can't dress this up a little bit. Let's see if we can't get this to look a little better. Now you gotta be careful when working with this steel mesh. This stuff is very sharp. And it will cut you. So I think what I am going to do is apply some... Here we have a radiator. I think I'm going to try and create tanks on the side. Or at least something that'll kind of look like the tanks on the side there, and see if we can't make something. It doesn't have to look perfect because it's hidden under the nose, but just so that when you look in the front there, you'll see something that and I do believe we have this. This is some of the extra parts I have from some of these metal earth kits. I buy some of them for Greebles, and I keep the parts just in case I need them for any particular project. And this is one of the projects. Now this is the grill assembly from the MPC Fiero, which I already tried to see if I could try to fit that in there, but it won't work and sit exactly where I needed to without extensively modifying the chassis, which I chose not to do that. And I think this will be a much better solution. Okay, I know it's a silly detail to obsess over, as it really won't be visible at all. But I think I am happy with that. You guys probably can't see it, but in there you can just make out the tanks on the side of the mesh there. So I think that is going to work perfectly. Now we just need to put a little black paint on them. Okay, here we go. We've got the radiator assembly completed. You can see what looks like the two tanks on the side of the radiator. You have the radiator fins there. Then I blacked out these two so you couldn't see that too much. And now we're going to install this in the car. And I'll admit, it's a little rough, not perfect, but I think it's gonna work. Okay, and there we go. You can see, guys, now it's got a little something in there that doesn't look like it's just empty space. I painted the tanks with a little bit of semi-gloss, so you get a little bit of a reflection there, while the sides are painted with a flat black, so that the tanks kind of stand out. And I think that's the last bit of extra detailing we're adding to the body. Now it's time to mount the body to the chassis.